From Plymouth, Michigan, it's the second semifinal of the Powerhockey Cup 2018. Who will join the Michigan Mustangs in tomorrow night's final? Got the Philadelphia Flyers PowerPlay, who have looked absolutely unstoppable in their first 5 games. As for their contenders tonight, the 4-time defending Minnesota Saints. Certainly can't overlook them, Brett. You got Chad Wilson. Talked about the Ritters a lot. If they come to play, they could make things very difficult on Philadelphia.
Yeah, we were down floor level between the first semifinal and this one, and we all noticed that Chad Wilson looked really, really focused for this game, driving around and just kind of had that look in his eye that he's really out here to play his A game. So Minnesota also, I think, looked better yesterday. They looked pretty good today against Ottawa. The Capitals gave them a good battle, but I at least think for my part, compared to what happened in the first Philadelphia versus Minnesota game, I think for sure that Minnesota's going to give Philadelphia a much tougher game than they did on day 1 on Tuesday. They may not beat the power play since they're such a strong squad, but Philly's got to be ready for a game. Minnesota's going to come at them hard, and they're going to be ready to go in this game.
They are going to come at them hard. We saw over there earlier when they were warming up, Chad was kind of by himself, really looking like to be him being in the zone, just looking raring to go, looking focused. He knows what's at stake here. Everybody knows what's at stake here for the Minnesota Saints. This is a battle that we've seen. This is the money game from the years past, and this is going to be definitely a hard-fought game and a money game for the Saints personally.
So for Philadelphia, we can say everything about Jake Saxton in particular along that big line of theirs, but really he's taken the words out of everybody's mouth of this performance at this tournament. There's really nothing else that you can say. There are no words for some of the things he's done. How can you even think about, it may be a situation you can't slow him down. You have to just try to contain him. But if you do that, there are 2 other guys who are more than capable of doing just as much damage. What is Minnesota going to do?
Well, the big key is going to be both the Ritter boys who are out there. We got Nathan Ritter and Jacob Ritter. They both got to step up. They really got to be sound positionally, defensively. You know, last year when they met in the North American Championship, I think the Ritters were the real reason why Minnesota was able to beat Philadelphia, because they had outstanding games. And today it's no different. If they want any sort of chance of beating Philadelphia, the Ritters have to play well. If they don't play well, it's going to be a long night for the Saints.
Oh, interesting. It's like Nathan Ritter is going to start on defense, and Matt Wimmergren is going to be the forward instead of Ritter. Jacob Ritter, the other forward, along with the aforementioned Chad Wilson. As Philadelphia possesses it in their own zone with that big 3 forward line of Saxton, Pitts, and Miller. Hoban, the defense. And, of course, the goaltender, D'Amico, who has been absolutely stellar, if not getting much of the attention that he deserves.
So Minnesota's essentially used their usual starting lineup, just the only switch is they have Nathan Ritter on defense, Matt Wimmergren up at forward, and that's an interesting alignment because Nathan Ritter hasn't played a whole lot on defense, but he's got a quick chair, and maybe they got them there in case one of the big 3 players gets behind the Minnesota defense. They have Nathan Ritter to try to catch up with them.
And we saw just over and over yesterday that Saxton kind of sits out near the line waiting for those stretch passes, and there's nobody going to catch up with him when he gets going with one of those.
Yeah, they have to be really positionally sound. Pitts, Saxton, Liam Miller are so good in their passing game.
Pitts with a shot. This one knocked down by Ritter. It ends up, I think, must have gone out of play and turned back in.
I think it stayed in the whole time. I think Nathan Ritter just played that with a high stick, and even though technically illegal, I would do that every time if you get one of those high shots.
I think so too. Yeah, he was protecting Sarah Heinz there, definitely off that shot.
Oh, face off deep in the Minnesota zone. Saxton will control it. Ritter aggressively able to poke that one away from him. Jacob Ritter, and that one comes out of the offensive zone, so Philadelphia will have to vacate. And Wimmergren all over Jake Saxton.
Wimmergren's probably playing forward more for his defensive skills than he is for offense.
There's Chad Wilson. Trying to poke that one ahead. He'll have it sent back, and now he'll flip it out of play. And we'll have another face-off. 13:05 to go. No score between Philadelphia and Minnesota. The winner of this game takes on the Michigan Mustangs tomorrow night. Michigan defeating Toronto 3-2 in the first semifinal earlier in the day. Well, they advance to the championship game, and they'll await whoever comes out on top in this one.
Definitely, Wimmergren is in there for his mostly his defense, probably even sending some picks for Chad as well.
And Chad Wilson probably going to stay back more in that sort of midfield / defenseman position, which is really going to up the ante on Jacob Ritter to carry the offense.
There's a turnover. Wilson with a shot that's blocked out front by Hoban. He got it back, and he was able to get a good shot away that goes wide.
And Chad Wilson goes directly back on defense to, he knows his chance was over, so now he's going to play back on defense to not let them come in and take over.
Pitts battling Wilson. Pitts, though, he'll get a shot through. Knocked out front by Nathan Ritter.
And Jacob Ritter did a good job on defense, too, on the back check. He read that pass coming the whole time and was all over the intended receiver.
Wilson, reversing direction, didn't get a real good pick from Nathan Ritter there. Wilson trying to worm his way through and at least get it out of the zone, which he does. And Philadelphia will set up in their own zone with exactly 12 minutes to go in the first period, no score.
And this is where the power play are at their most dangerous, when they're breaking out of the zone. We'll see if Saints are able to cover them on defense on those breakout plays. Philly's just been deadly on those.
And Saxton will reset again in the Philadelphia zone. And he might have caught Wilson going the wrong way. He'll flip this one toward Heinz and just misses wide. I think he got Wilson going a little bit too far one way, and he got a clear lane to the goal, but just shot it wide. Ritter trying to punch it out. Jacob Ritter able to clear the zone. Saxton gets it to Pitts. Pitts trying to get it up towards Saxton. Wimmergren battling. Miller. That one poked away by Wilson. Wilson able to flip this one up the boards. It'll remain in play. And Saxton back to pick it up in his own zone. Oh, what a great job by Jacob Ritter to poke that one away from Saxton. And Saxton will eventually recover it. Wimmergren trying to slow him down however he can. Wilson battling. Saxton might have been a little bit awkwardly shifted by all of that physical play. He has to take a moment to recover, but he's back in the fray. Hits in his own zone.
Yeah, the power play is going to have to be ready for that as well. We've seen two pretty physical games earlier today in the playoffs. The referees are going to let you play a little bit more than they did in the group stage, so these young power play players have to be prepared for some physical contact and ramming.
Pitts trying to get the corner, and Ritter did a great job cutting him off. He'll try the other side, and Wimmergren hems him in. Now he's got some good picks in front of him, so speeds across the center line. Wilson trying to cut him off. He does. He pokes the ball away.
What about you, Mike? But it almost looks like Minnesota is just playing kind of a man-to-man defense. They're just having Jacob Ritter stay right on Jake Saxton. They're not really worrying about sides. He's just kind of going wherever Saxton goes.
Definitely, he's got to just keep watching Saxton. Even more so than even the ball, just watch him.
Wilson eventually comes out of it with the ball. Pitts trying to force a turnover. He'll knock it away, but Wilson will get it right back. Wilson trying to get around. He does. Into the offensive zone. Can he get around Saxton? No, he can't. Saxton will take it back. Philadelphia looking to break out. And again, another good job by Minnesota to seal off those lanes, having to make the power play work to break out offensively. Now Wimmergren trying to force a mistake. Saxton pokes this one ahead toward Miller, and it's sent back the other direction up to the far side boards. 8:45 to go in the first period, no score. With a shot that's blocked. Loose underneath Nathan Ritter. Sends it down to the near side corner. Pitts will try to get it ahead of Chad Wilson. Oh, back the other way, and here's Jacob Ritter with a shot that'll go wide.
I don't know about you, Mike. I think Jacob Ritter had more time than he thought once he got around Luke Hoban to maybe make a move on the goaltender D'Amico.
Definitely, he had way more time, rushed his shot.
Ritter's shot blocked by Hoban. Play continues up on the far side.
Yeah, it was a good job to get around him, but sometimes when you make that move around the defenseman, you're almost so surprised that you're tempted to shoot.
It's loose in front of D'Amico, still poking at it, still loose. And it's frozen.
Wow. I can't tell where the ball was there. I know Wimmergren was jabbing at it. Chad was not very happy with that call. He's saying it was still in the crease, We didn't have the vision for that, but.
Yeah, and the Philly bench was also claiming as well that Wimmergren was in the crease and shouldn't have been allowed in there as well. So both sides not exactly happy with how that situation turned out.
And now they're gonna.
I think that might be what they're saying, is that since Wimmergren was in the crease, they're going to actually face it off down in Minnesota's zone.
I think they put Cindy Hughley in goal.
So yeah, it must. So what must have happened was the ball came out of the crease and then Wimmergren didn't get out.
Interesting. That did we get a switch in goal, Mike? We saw earlier that before the game, Cindy Hughley was getting taped up to play in goal.
Yep, she's in goal now. Yep.
Wilson off the face-off.
How about that for a welcome to playing goalie? You got a match up against these guys.
I know they were all prepared though for this game. They were all pretty much focused when we all talked to them out there.
Crowd starting to get into it for Philadelphia. We got two chairs tied up. They're separated. Play continues.
Oh, this is where Minnesota's can't bunch up. They had Liam Miller wide open on the weak side. Fortunately for them, Liam Miller's actually joining the fray on that far side.
Hits, oh, that could have gotten through to Saxton. That would have been huge trouble for Minnesota. Wilson back the other way into the offensive zone. He'll take a whack at it. That'll go wide.
I was going to make that point too when Ritter had that time. He went to his backhand. After he beat Hoban, that's where you want to get to your forehand.
Yeah, he had plenty of time.
Saxton into the offensive zone. Wilson pursuing him. Going to try the wraparound and play frozen. The net moved enough to warrant the stoppage. So we're now just over 8 minutes into the first period. I venture this might be the longest duration Philadelphia has gone at this tournament without scoring.
I think you're right, and we've seen in all the games today, every team has made a much bigger commitment to defense. We had only a 3-2 game with Michigan beating Toronto. Even the Minnesota-Ottawa wild card game was relatively low scoring until the third period.
Lots more physicality in play as well.
Like what they say in hockey or basketball at the NHL or NBA, there's regular season play and then there's postseason play. It's completely different.
Saxton in his own zone with it. Slow it down as Wimmergren moves into his way. Saxton gets it up toward Miller. Miller driving. Wilson cuts him off. Pitch comes through. He'll take a shot. That'll go over everything out of play.
Flyer forwards are so good at knowing how to go open. Jake Saxton kind of snuck to that backdoor pipe area and was sitting open for just a moment. PowerPlay weren't quite able to get it to him, but Minnesota's got to make sure they watch him.
Definitely, they are excellent at moving without the ball, and that's what you want to learn at every level. What type of hockey you're playing.
Pitts controls the face-off in his own zone. Looks it up, but it'll hit Saxton in the wheels and bounce back. Jacob Ritter. That one poked away.
Chad also making an effort to watch Saxton as well.
Wimmergren making life difficult on Alex Pitts.
He's been a real kind of unsung hero for Minnesota so far and really stifling this power play attack.
5:35 remaining first period, no score, Minnesota and Philadelphia. Saxton reversing direction, tries to sneak it through, but it's blocked. Miller can't get it before Ritter does, and Ritter able to clear it out toward Wilson. Wilson into the offensive zone. Wilson gets tied up. Centering feed only found a couple of Philadelphia players. Miller back the other way. He gets around Jacob Ritter. Miller into the offensive zone. Nathan Ritter cuts him off nicely, though, and hooks it away.
Just wondering where Jacob was on that. He was kind of back where Wilmington was, with no trailing, and that was a juicy rebound left there.
Yeah, these Flyer forwards are so fast. You got to be aware where they are at all times, even if they don't have the ball. As we said earlier, they're so good at getting open, being able to pounce on rebounds.
Yeah, Chad, though, drew two of them over.
Pitts' shot goes just wide. And Ritter able to clear it out.
Interesting that Philly's having Luke Hoban play pretty aggressively up on the attack. He's moving up towards midcourt whenever the Flyers power play have a forecheck established.
Well, I don't think Hoban's out there, actually.
Or is that Bryce Smith?
That's Bryce Smith.
Yeah, so Philly's actually really upping the attack, going with essentially 4 forwards and no defensemen.
About to go under 4 minutes to play as Smith has that one get caught under his wheels. It comes loose. Pitts with it. Pitts into the offensive zone. He's got Miller as a screen. Pitts trying to feed Saxton, and Saxton couldn't quite put it in.
No one picked up
loose
Saxton.
Back out front. Wimmergren and Ritter able to clear it away.
Minnesota dodged an absolute bullet. Jake Saxton was wide open on the weak side goal post. He just couldn't hit in that pass.
Saxton into the offensive zone. He'll dump it down toward the corner. Nathan Ritter down there to try to pick it up in the corner. Wilson down there as well as Saxton and Miller opposed for Philadelphia. Wilson. Gets it up toward Pitts, who's nicely met by the Minnesota defense and sent back into the Philadelphia zone.
Good aggressive sticks there by Minnesota. Jacob Ritter, Matt Wimmergren, both in there playing very aggressively, moving that stick. And unfortunately, it looks like we're having an issue here for Matt Wimmergren.
Play will be stopped.
Looks like he got a little banged up.
Yeah.
I know his shoelaces are untied, so.
Oh, they tend to him. Let's take a look at that last scoring chance for Philadelphia from a few moments ago. Minnesota's got to do a better job on that weak side. Look at Jake Saxton streak in from nowhere, uncovered. Got to make sure they watch that if you're Minnesota and they break in like that. Saxton was kind of trailing behind the play. No one really saw him coming on the back end. They were all focused on that pass going to Liam Miller. Then Saxton comes in at that last second. Very fortunate for the Saints that Saxton wasn't able to hit that in cleanly.
Definitely, yeah. Don't want to lose Wimmergren either. He's playing solidly, helping cover Saxton and Pitts, and just all around their offense. They need him out there.
Yeah, that's a huge loss if he has to leave the game. He hasn't done a whole lot offensively, but it's defense that's been his forte, and a big reason why Minnesota's been able to keep this a scoreless game.
Face-off coming deep in the Minnesota zone. 2:40 to go in the first period, no score. Winner of this game takes on Michigan in the championship game tomorrow. The loser will play Toronto at noon. And then the winner of that game plays Ottawa, or the loser of that game rather plays Ottawa, excuse me, in the fourth place game. Saxton, whoa, what a job by Wilson to screen him from any possible shot attempt. And Ritter clears it out.
If anybody plays like Saxton, it'll be Wilson, so good coverage by him. Everybody committing to defense on the Saints here.
Saxton, though, able to deke his way in. But again, he gets tied up as he drove toward the net. Under 2 minutes to go in the period.
Saxton took a pretty big bump right there. This is no different than the games we've had earlier today. These players are really upping the intensity from the group stage games.
Pitts flips this one in the general direction of the net. Nathan Ritter got to be careful, a couple of charging Philadelphia players. Miller poked out a play.
Fans here not happy.
Well, we got I think a penalty coming up on someone. I saw the referee's arm in the air, unless we're just getting a play that's whistled dead, which I think is the case.
Minute 34 remaining in the first period.
This is a rivalry here.
I mean, you wonder how the longer Minnesota keeps this close, if Philly starts to kind of think, well, how do we beat these guys? We've lost to them in the championship the past 2 years.
Pitts shoots it over the net, out of play.
I mean, despite Minnesota's struggles in this tournament, as we brought up earlier, they have not lost a playoff game since 2008.
No, they beat them here. Just,
I mean, even if they blew them out earlier, if you're a player on the floor and this game stays close, does that kind of get in the back of your head saying, how do we beat these guys?
definitely. You know, came out firing the first half, but they have a different game plan now here, the Saints.
1:10 to go in the first period. We've really only had one good scoring chance, which was that backdoor pass to Saxton. Blocked as it pops up in the air. Wimmergren trying to knock it down. Scrum. Figure out who it's under, and Ritter able to clear it out.
Right, coming up in the second period, I think we're going to have Mike down on the sidelines giving us some different perspectives courtside.
39 seconds rather. This one flipped up and just off the side of the net. No under 30 seconds left to go.
Here's the big battle everybody likes to see, Saxton and Wilson.
Miller comes out with it, trickles in front of the net, Pitts, he scores! That was just an unlucky bounce in every way for Minnesota, but Philadelphia made them pay for it this time. It's 1-0.
If you're a Saints fan, you hate giving up late goals in a period, no matter what period it is.
Let's take a look at that bounce again. Chad Wilson was trying to dig it out of that corner, and it just took, a very unlucky bounce for the Saints. Philly takes advantage, and that's a tough blow for Minnesota. They played so well in this first period, and they give up a late goal.
Saxton, this one saved and held on to.
Kind of nobody covering Pitts, and you got to also watch out for him, too.
8.1 to go in the first period. Philadelphia breaking through late. There's a shot. And that'll bring us to the end of the period. And Minnesota, they've sure got to feel a little bit defeated, and Philadelphia likely a lot more energized the way that period ended, as Philadelphia gets that goal with under 20 seconds to go from Pitts. You're watching Powerhockey Cup 2018, first intermission, 1-0 Philadelphia.
Welcome back to USA Hockey Arena in Plymouth. We're underway in the second period with Philadelphia on top of Minnesota by a score of 1-0. And we got Mike York standing by with a sideline report.
With Cindy Hughley here with just going to talk, how did that last period went for you guys?
It was pretty rough. I mean, like, there's a lot of action, but I think our team has really come out strong and actually being aggressive, which we really needed to step up on. It was pretty good.
It's pretty good. All right, well, back to you, Brett and Pat.
All right, thank you very much, Mike. First time I think anyone's referred to you as Pat. Anyway, so that's Mike York, who was speaking with Cindy Hughley, who was actually the Minnesota goalie in the first period. It's actually Sarah Heinz who's back in goal now for Minnesota. We had a fan asking why wasn't Heinz in. She started the game for the first few minutes, then Cindy Hughley played the majority of the first. Now we got Heinz back in, so a little bit of rotating goalies.
That's the one thing I guess that I said I think it was yesterday. I said
Long shot. Oh, Heinz with a save at the last second. That looked like it was going to float in.
You know, since I don't have much of a pedigree in power hockey, it's my first time having much experience with it. It's interesting watching the way that personnel are mixed and matched like that in such a critical game that you would feel you have the flexibility to put in somebody who maybe hasn't played goaltender all that much.
Yeah, to be honest, it's at least from the 2 previous Power Hockey Cups I've watched, it is kind of unusual to rotate goalies in the middle of the game if it's not a blowout, but the strategy Minnesota has felt will do them best. And now we have another hard collision. This game getting very, very, very physical out here. Chad Wilson, Minnesota, looking to stick handle, turns it over to Liam Miller.
Yeah, you could hear Saxon yell after that collision, no call, and that, of course, drew the ire of many of these Philadelphia fans here.
As they say, it's kind of that playoff hockey where you're going to get physical, lifted in. Nathan Ritter makes a block, and then it's going to be picked up by Alex Pitts. Wraps it around and scores! Alex Pitts gives Philadelphia a 2-0 lead.
See, and that's been one of the things that we touched on in the pregame. They focus a lot of attention on Saxton, so where did they go? They go to Pitts, and he has the 2 goals.
Look at it here on the replay, and Heinz has kind of struggled with those wraparounds all tournament. Defense got to make sure they're helping her out. Wimmergren actually was a really nice pick there, as you'll see on towards the middle right of your screen. You'll see Liam Miller blocking Matt Wimmergren from being able to help out on that wraparound. Good pick set there. Philadelphia up 2-0. And we're going to get another goaltender change. Cindy Hughley is going to re-enter the game for Minnesota. Get around for Mike York. We got a report from Mike, who has a sideline.
Mike York here with one of the coaches here of Michigan. What do you think about the physicality of this game?
Strong game right now. Go both ways. Both playing good.
Definitely. Who would you like to see during the final? Anybody? Or I'm going to put you on the spot here.
I can't pick a favorite on this one. It could be either or. Either one. So.
All right, good diplomatic answer here. Mike York, back to you and Patrick.
All right, thanks, Mike. He's always trying to get those, ask those tough questions. We at least had, I think it was Leah Donahue for Philadelphia. We interviewed her during the last game. She actually came clean and said, I think she wanted to see Michigan in the final.
Yep.
If the power play hold on and win this game, well, she'll get her wish. Alex Pitts for the power play, digging forward along the far side boards. Power play on top, 2-0 and Saints are at a critical part in this game because I feel like if the power play go up 3-0, this could really start to get out of hand. Here's Liam Miller working his way in, poked away last second by Nathan Ritter. What a defensive play.
Wow. We started to see some of that Philadelphia speed just outrunning a lot of these Minnesota players to these loose balls, generating those good scoring opportunities.
Lifted up, they're looking for the swat to Liam Miller. He's out on the doorstep, it's still loose. Now it's gathered up by Chad Wilson. There's Wilson into the Philly zone. Wilson on his forehand takes a shot that goes wide of the net, stopped by Saxton. Philadelphia playing with 4 attackers. They have Bryce Smith helping up at forward, and I wonder if that's kind of harkening back to the 16 championship game where they brought him in for about the last half of the 3rd period, and Philadelphia really dominated play and came close to getting that equalizing goal before Minnesota hung on to win. And as you can see, all 4 players in the attack zone for Philly, they got no one back on defense.
That's certainly a gamble when you have a guy like Chad Wilson. Might have a stoppage of play as Wilson almost tipped over.
Yeah, Wilson almost falling out of his chair. It is not a game for the faint of heart out there. There with think adapted sports can't be rough, watch these playoff games. Much different feel than the group stage games. Face-off will be, I believe, in the Minnesota zone. There's Mike York down. I think he might be ready for an interview. He's in a crowd of Philadelphia fans right now. No signal yet, so we'll keep the action here. Minnesota, I think, has had trouble having these 4 Philadelphia forwards in the zone. They just got to find a way to get something in transition because D'Amico's going to have a tall task trying to stop someone one-on-one.
Yeah, the problem is just Minnesota just can't match that speed. That's the problem. Is you have Wilson, but the other they
score on a steal from Alex Pitts.
My goodness.
Alex Pitts just picks the pocket of Chad Wilson, pokes it away, and it ends up going in the net. I think surprising Cindy Hughley, which I don't blame her for. You don't normally expect something like that to happen where someone swats it away and it ends up going in on goal.
Oh, what a tough break. And the hill just getting a little bit taller. Well, it's only 3-0. But, you know, the frustration, you can see Chad Wilson, we talked about how focused he was, but I think after that he was, I think his frustration was starting to snap a little bit.
And we see some substitutions for Minnesota. They moved Limmergren back to defense, and we got Twite at forward. Now we got Mike York down for a sideline report.
Mike York here with a parent of Philadelphia. How's the game going for you as a fan?
Awesome. It's always exciting. Everybody's playing their hearts out. Love every minute of it.
Anybody you're particularly rooting for here?
Obviously Philadelphia, but my son's Liam Miller, so always rooting for everybody equally. So.
All right, definitely it's Miller time here for Philadelphia. Back to you, Brett.
Also mullet time for Liam Miller. I love the mullet he rocks up. Not a real hockey player unless you have a mullet at one point. I know he takes pride in that.
Pushed ahead.
Yeah, it's Chad Wilson for Minnesota. He'll have making a nice move around Saxton. He's going to have to try to take things over here offensively with Minnesota up. They're trailing 3-0, I should say.
That was I think Wilson might. I don't know if that's going to be him. Wilson's going to be going to the penalty box, delayed penalty.
Yeah, it will be since Philly has the ball and they'll have a whistle. Now a Minnesota player touched it up, and yeah, this could be a critical point in the game for Minnesota. If Philly scores again on this power play,
yeah, you could see
Minnesota's going to be in a really tough spot.
Wilson just threw his arms up in frustration. He knew he moved the boards. Left side. I think it might end up being 2 players going.
Yeah, it's going to be coincidentals. Yeah, I think Saxton's going to be in the box as well. Well, he is going to stay on. So it will be a Philadelphia power play. All right, this is going to be really tough for Minnesota with 4 attackers in the zone for Philadelphia and no Chad Wilson. We're going to see what these guys are made of for the Saints defensively, if they can hold things off. You almost think maybe if they kill this penalty off, maybe that could switch momentum in their favor. Lifted up, they're trying that baseball swing, and it's played with a high stick by Jacob Ritter. This off will be to the right of Cindy Hughley, the goalie for Minnesota. I love the comment on the Facebook feed. Monica Hilferty Hogan says Mullet Miller is his name. Here's Jake Saxton off the goal post, deflects off Cindy Hughley into the goal, and Philadelphia has pulled ahead with a 4-0 lead.
Yeah, that's his first goal of the game, but there's, I think last night both of us said at different times, what more can you say about Jake Saxton at this point?
That's an unfortunate break for Minnesota too. Cindy Hughley made that original save, and it just deflected off her shoulder after making her save, and then fell right into the goal. So it's now 4-0 in favor of the Saints. Minnesota's got to find something offensively to get back into this one. Spinning around is Chad Wilson in the offensive zone. He'll lose it. Bryce Smith there to help out. He's pressuring Wilson in the far side corner. Trying to dig it out. Wilson trying to come away with it. Now it's picked up. I thought it was by Plate. I think a Philadelphia player actually has it. It's Alex Pitts. Pitts, who has a hat trick in this game. Really lost it. Now it's taken by Jacob Ritter, swatting it back into the zone.
Now, I'm not saying that this is imminent, but Minnesota needs to be really careful and not say, oh, gee, it's 4-0, and start letting it get away from them. There's still half the game left to go, still a lot of time.
And they arguably have maybe the best player in North America on their team in Chad Wilson, so they're never out of a game. But it's been tough for them to get any attack going with these 4 Philadelphia forwards.
And the problem with that is Wilson's supporting cast, for lack of, again, to be a little frank, just has not really done a whole lot for him this tournament.
Yeah, first period, here's a long shot, goes in and scores. Another goal for Philadelphia, and they've broken this game open and now lead 5-0.
And now conversely, if you're Philadelphia, don't let up. Don't even give Minnesota a glimmer of hope. Just keep them coming, keep the goals pouring in, keep that attack going. Just don't let Minnesota think that they have a chance to get back in this.
Got a sideline report from Mike York.
Mike York here with some of the Michigan players. What do you think about the physicality?
It's okay. It's pretty rough. Not as much as Toronto, but yeah.
How about the physicality between both these teams here?
I mean, Chad almost flipped over, so it doesn't get too much more physical than that. But yeah, it's a tight game. It's kind of breaking loose now, but it's been tight.
Definitely a rivalry game here since the last 2 times we've seen these guys go at it here. What's the mindset of these players?
I would say for Philadelphia, it's just keep doing what they're doing. And Minnesota, Chad needs to calm down. He's going to lose his head a little bit, but they're playing. They started out great against them. They had a great game plan, and they're getting away from it now that they're down. That's kind of been their theme all tournament.
All right, back to you, Brett and Patrick.
Yeah, and I think those guys, for the Michigan players, kind of set it down there. Chad Wilson really getting frustrated. He ended up running into the boards, picked up a penalty, and now Philadelphia is going to go right back on the power play. Not something you want to do if you're Minnesota, since they scored relatively quickly on their last man advantage chance. And I think this is a smart timeout here by Minnesota. Try to stay at least somewhat in this game. I mean, you can't give up too many more goals here to have any sort of chance.
Yeah, so I think Minnesota's a smart use of their timeout. I typically, question a lot when you use your timeout this early in the game, but they really said it is starting to get away from them. And we have seen that. I mean, the Michigan players were correct about Wilson's getting a little frustrated. Philadelphia is just pretty much broken through everything that Minnesota had thrown at them.
Yeah, it's tough for Chad Wilson when you won 4 titles in a row, and now you're running into this semifinal game where your team has played relatively well, and all of a sudden you look up at the scoreboard and you're down 5-0. I mean, we've talked about it so many times. You can play well, and this power play team still finds a way to score goals on you. Got so much offensive talent. Now they have a chance to extend this lead even further. Have the man advantage, and not only that, Minnesota's best player is on the penalty box for 2 minutes.
And of course, unfortunately for Minnesota, we've already seen this. He went to the box in Philadelphia, very quickly cashed in earlier in the game.
Jake Saxton at the point will work his way to the left side, takes a high shot and headed by Ben Hafner for the Saints. He's actually seeing some time in net now for Minnesota. They're kind of taking a page out of the Dino Livas playbook and making a header save.
I don't think we've seen too often where we have one of the Ritter brothers out there without the other one. We have Jacob out there, but Nathan is on the bench.
That ball is deflecting around. It's gathered up by Matt Wimmergren. Minute 24 to go on the man advantage for Philly. Now it's cleared out of danger by Minnesota. It's our final game of the day. Winner moves on to take on the Michigan Mustangs in the North American Championship. Loser will face the Toronto Rock in the third place game. Championship tomorrow at 7 o'clock Eastern, third place game. Is that at 4 o'clock or is it 5 o'clock Eastern?
It's 4 o'clock. It's
loose ball in front, they score. Philly strikes again on the power play, and they've really blown this game open and now have a 6-0 lead over Minnesota.
Yeah, there's I mean, Philadelphia, there's just nothing more. They know the perhaps in this day and age you're not supposed to use such terms on the air, but they know the animal is wounded and that they can go for the kill, and they are not hesitating to try to do that.
Well, for the most part, they're all adults up there, except the freakishly good Philadelphia players. When you got Jake Saxton, who's the grizzled veteran at the age of 15. But yeah, you said it. I mean, Philly smells blood in the water right now, and they're really trying to cash in and put this game out of reach. Minnesota trying to get some chances now. They have the puck in the offensive zone. Now it's turned over. Here comes Philadelphia.
See, this is kind of what Minnesota was not doing earlier, was that they weren't letting Philadelphia generate these rushes into the offensive zone like that. They did a good job of heading that one off, but kind of since things started to unravel late in the first period, it's just kind of been same old story between these two going back to their first meeting on Tuesday.
Yeah, it's tough to stay disciplined when you're down 6-0, and now, Josh Dwight's going to get knocked over. Hopefully he's all right as they're going to help him back up. Hopefully everything's okay with him.
Well, looking ahead to tomorrow, yeah, noon is the bronze medal game. Well, the loser of this game plays Toronto, and then it's kind of unusual. The loser of that game has to play another game. That'll be against Ottawa. That'll be the 4-5 game at 4 o'clock. The winner of that noon game does not have to play again.
Yeah, it's kind of in reverse order where you have the third place game followed by fourth place. I think the reason why they did that is they want to guarantee that everyone plays at least one game tomorrow. That's pretty tough sledding if you're losing that third place game, that you have to play 2 consolation games. That could be kind of tough mentally on you. I know back when I played, no one was normally excited to play in those consolation games. It's tough to get the adrenaline flowing to play in those things. On the other hand, you just kind of look at it that it's another chance to play power hockey on the big stage. You won't have another chance for 2 more years in 2020 when the tournament moves to another location. The rumor is Toronto, but I don't believe that's been confirmed yet. Looks like Josh Dwight's okay, so he's going to stay in the game for Minnesota.
Well, the championship game, I think, at 6 o'clock Eastern tomorrow night.
Okay.
These two teams hoping to join the Michigan Mustangs. Boy, what a game that was earlier between Michigan and Toronto.
Here's Jacob Ritter working into the zone. Yeah, Michigan made an absolute commitment to playing defense in that game against the Toronto Rock. And should this score hold and they have to play Philadelphia, they're going to have to make that type of commitment to defense and then some to have any chance of beating this high-powered Philly squad.
Oh, I think, though, the difference was today that the Mustangs supporting cast around Confara was able to help him enough to get the win, because unfortunately yesterday Michigan started 2-0 on Tuesday. Confara had an awesome day with the 9 total goals, but yesterday was held in check. Michigan had those 2 poor performances as a result, but today they played a lot better as a team. They got a better support around Confara, and they were able to gut out that big win.
And Confara didn't show up on the score sheet really, but he had a big game defensively and shutting down those strong Toronto players. Looking around for Mike York. Does he have anything? Nothing over there, so we'll keep it here with 2:48 to go in the second period. 6-0 Philly on top of Minnesota.
He's gonna do the YMCA over there, maybe. He's standing all by himself on the off to the right side of your screen.
Looking very stoic and serious right now.
Really into this game.
Up ahead to Jake Saxton along the far side boards. Took an unfortunate bounce on the boards, and White wasn't able to push it up ahead to try to capitalize on that turnover. Back into the zone. Battle between Saxton and Chad Wilson. Saxton will gain possession. Saxton meticulously looking for an opening to try to break into the zone. Now, an aggressive play there from Josh White to force Saxton to retreat. Saxton spinning, works his way around Chad Wilson. Well, he's found that opening they're looking for. Lines a pass to Alex Pitts, was a little bit behind him, so couldn't quite hit him in stride. Now it's turned over. It's Wilson going the other way for the Saints. 1:42 to go, second period. Philly breaking this game open with 5 second period goals. 2 of them coming on the power play. A couple of chairs, still trying to dig it out. He can come away with it. Still anyone's puck yet. And now it finally comes away to the possession of Jake Saxton. Saxton toe dragging, has it stolen away by Jacob Ritter. Ritter going the other way for Minnesota, passes over to Chad Wilson. Wilson looking for an opening, takes a shot, he scores! So Chad Wilson finally breaks through, and Minnesota, they're going to launch a miraculous comeback. This is the start they needed to get back into it. Wilson picking up his first goal of the game.
Well, see, I think things have settled down quite a bit since the last Philadelphia goal. Philadelphia, I think they've gotten back to their original game plan to slow down these Philadelphia attackers.
That was a good pass also from Philadelphia, also battling with it. Jake Saxton over there for the Saints. Trying to still dig with it in the corner. White or someone lost their stick. It's kind of funny, the referee has the stick. I'm not sure he could see which player lost it. It was Saxton who lost the stick originally, down to the final 13 seconds. 12 seconds remaining. And it'll be Alex Pitts for the Saints. One long shot, 5 seconds, 4 seconds, blocked by Wimmergren, now gathered up by Josh White. Here is Chad Wilson from Minnesota. And that's going to be the end of period number 2. Take a quick 3-minute timeout and have the third period on the way next. Philadelphia has a 6-1 lead over Minnesota.
Hi everybody, welcome back to Plymouth. Starting the third period between Philadelphia and Minnesota. Philadelphia with a 6-1 lead as we get things back underway. Mike York back upstairs with us.
Just giving a shout out to Frankie. Hey, I see you. I saw the comment. Thank you.
Pitts with a long shot. I think that's Hafner who has taken over in goal for Minnesota to start the third period. Ben Hafner. Jacob Ritter pushing this one ahead into the offensive zone. Ritter with a shot that's saved by D'Amico.
It's got to be, what, only about the third or fourth shot Minnesota's actually gotten rid of D'Amico?
Yeah, not very many.
Loose along the far side boards behind D'Amico. White gonna try the wraparound, and it's frozen underneath D'Amico.
So Mike, you were down on the sideline. We won't repeat anything you heard, but it's definitely feisty, and these players are intense and competitive down there.
Definitely very feisty. Some trash talk lives between Saxton and Wilson there, but I'm not going to get into it. That was quite interesting. I find it very enjoyable as a player myself.
They weren't saying, "Excuse me, sir, get out of the way while I try to shoot," were they?
No.
Although what's interesting is the one statement you told us was actually quite PG. I was expecting something a little more unsuitable for broadcast.
Well, one of the players, we won't name which one, according to Mike, did have some very rated R language for another one.
Oh.
We won't repeat, yes.
That part I did not catch. Saxton at the line gets a nice screen from Miller. Weaves his way through but loses control of the ball. And Chad Wilson will pick it up for Minnesota. Oh, and that's Pitts who comes streaking in to knock the ball away from him out of play.
When Minnesota got that goal at the end of the second period, you wonder if that maybe gets them any momentum. Got to start somewhere to get back into this one. You still have plenty of time. Maybe take the game in 3-minute increments where you get a goal here, get a goal in the next 3 minutes. All of a sudden you're back into it.
Wilson with it. He'll push it up ahead, trying to get around Smith. Trying to get it down to Ritter, who couldn't redirect it. I think if that hadn't made contact with D'Amico, it would have gotten through clean. Here's Miller in. Miller back to Pitts, who redirects it wide. Just to finish up the previous point. Wilson was trying to sneak it through to Jacob Ritter on the other side of the net, but it made contact with D'Amico, and the redirection was just enough to push it out of Ritter's reach. And D'Amico with the save there. Saxton.
That's a nasty move right there. Ooh, that's a Mike York deke.
Pitt shoots that one up in Chad Wilson's face. Shoots that one over Wilson entirely. So that'll make Wilson feel really warm and fuzzy about some of these Philadelphia players. Even if just an incidental play that happens during the course of the game. Ritter gets tied up, and I think we might have a penalty coming.
I think this one might actually be against Philadelphia. I think they ran into Ritter a little too much. It's going to be against Bryce Smith. So Minnesota scores on this power play. It's getting a little interesting out here.
11:59 to go in regulation. 6-1. Philadelphia with the lead. Smith removing the boards. Here's Wilson. Wilson pursued nicely by Miller. He also got Saxton down there with him. Pitts looking to join in. Basically everybody except the goaltender now surrounding the ball.
Group hug.
Takes this one down to the near side. Ritter trying to fight for it. Wilson will come away with it. He'll try the wraparound. And he was denied. And Wilson is absolutely furious. And he had to be careful because play was still live when he slammed his stick on the ground, and that almost cost him. Saxton with a turnover, and the net comes loose.
Well, that was some dirty, yeah, they're having some words. I wish I was down there again.
Oh man, that's, we're former adapted athletes. We love hearing that trash talk is still alive. I'm sure Saxton is going to give Chad Wilson a hard time as he kind of stripped the ball away from him. Rivalry's definitely blooming between these two teams. I'm sure they were there already when they played in the championship back-to-back years.
I think these boys are older now. They know how not to get pushed around now.
The last 2 years in the championship, it's the same story has been Minnesota building big leads, then Philly frantically rallying at the end. Having that rally just come up short.
Head to the penalty box. It's going to even things up.
I have to agree with that. Limmergren kind of pushed Saxon into them now.
Loose out front, redirect. Pitts couldn't finish. Ritter quickly back into the offensive zone. Ritter to Wilson. And it's denied again by D'Amico.
Sure took that shot, I believe.
I agree with you too, Mike.
This one saved again by D'Amico. Ritter trying to slam it home, but can't do it. Pitts able to clear. Saxton into the offensive zone.
Oh, we got Liam Miller wide open in front.
Saxton with a shot. That'll go off the side of the net, but he'll get it back.
Maybe the one criticism I'd have for Jake Saxton in that game on that wraparound, I think he should have tried to get it in front of Liam Miller instead. One of the fancy wraparound instead.
Here's Saxton again. He'll flip it up and just wide. Less than 10 minutes to go. Philadelphia back at full strength. They'll have a power play for a minute 4.
I don't know about you, Mike, but this looks like Philly's really playing with kind of a swagger right now. Like they're confident they know they can finally beat Minnesota.
I think so too. They know they have this game in hand if they don't do anything.
Pitts flips it ahead for Saxton. Saxton into the offensive zone. Saxton shoots it wide. You can sense Philadelphia perhaps looking for the final nail in the coffin. About to approach 9 minutes to go. They lead 6-1.
That's got to be fun playing out there too with Philadelphia, where you're finally beating your nemesis and you know you can beat them too.
Pitts in all alone. Pitts scores! Power play goal, Philadelphia, 7-1 lead.
Let's take a look at the replay. This game's kind of getting wide open, which is not the game Minnesota wants to play. You don't want to get stuck in a back and forth fire wagon style hockey with Philadelphia. They're going to beat you every time.
Well, they can't even solve D'Amico right now. That boy's on fire.
I was going to ask you, Mike, I mean, playing adapted sports for you in Minnesota, when you face an opponent that's had your number for so long, then you're finally kind of taking it to them. You have fun out there playing, don't you?
You have a lot of fun playing out there. A lot of trash talk, a lot of fun just getting in your opponent's head, knowing that, you know what, we're the man now.
I can speak to that as well. I had some opponents where, you know, they beat me so many times and you finally get the chance to take it to them. You have fun out there.
Yeah.
Pitts battling along the far side. Works its way back toward the middle.
This is a wake-up call, I believe, for Minnesota this entire tournament. To stay focused, stay ready for the next tournament in 2020.
Yeah, they're not exactly an old team. I mean, Chad Wilson told us he was only 29. We thought he was like 33, so. He got a laugh out of us when we asked him how old. He said, I'm only 29. The Ritter boys are only 20, so they're still pretty young. Wimmergren, I know, is, I'm going to say Wimmergren is my age, and I'm 33. In fact, I think he might even be a year younger than me. So he's still relatively young, yeah.
Poked down to the near side. Wilson. Wilson trying to center it. Pitts almost cleared it out, but White got in the way. Now midway through the final period, Philadelphia well on their way to a meeting with the Michigan Mustangs tomorrow night for all the marbles.
Talking to some of the Michigan fans, I know Michigan wanted to be the one to beat Minnesota here.
Ritter denied a couple of times, flips it over the net, it's loose in the crease, and squirts its way out to Wilson. Wilson trying to send it back, but it's blocked by Smith. Pitts battling Wilson, more very physical play involving Chad Wilson. Loose down in the corner. Jacob Ritter will try to circle his way around, but Saxton pokes it away from him.
Yep, that's right, Frank. Just like the Humboldt Hawks, he knows.
Did he play for Humboldt or against Humboldt?
He played for Humboldt, and
Okay.
you know, I was a little older than him, so I never got to play with Frankie, but definitely watched him play. I think I was a manager at the time when he showed up. So.
Yeah, he knows from the high school league in Minnesota, about that situation where you're finally able to beat your arch nemesis. It definitely kind of gets that monkey off your back, and Philly's probably feeling that right now.
6 minutes to go, 7-1 Philadelphia. This one deflected just wide. Hits into the offensive zone, gets it up toward Miller. Miller, though, has to track it down in the corner. Five and a half minutes remaining. Philadelphia can't hold the zone, but that's okay. They can reset, they can run more of that clock. That's the only thing that matters now. Ritter able to hold the offensive zone. Wilson whiffs on the shot. Pitt's whacking at him however he can. Comes loose out front. Wilson took a whack at it, couldn't stop it though. Saxton, oh, there's a big hit. I think a penalty coming against Wimmergren.
That was a huge hit.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be a charge against Wimmergren. He'll head to the box. It's going to be a fun atmosphere tomorrow with Philly, Michigan in the final. You know, Philly brings a ton of fans, and Michigan, we know, is going to absolutely pack the house since they're the host team. We're going to get a good turnout, I think, here at USA Hockey Arena for that championship game.
It's going to be definitely. It's going to be quite interesting.
You need another goal? You want your kid to get that goal?
Wimmergren slowly exits the playing surface.
Yeah, Wimmergren definitely playing with some aggression. Just wearing his heart on the sleeve there, you can tell.
Saxton. The shot that was knocked down. Pitts couldn't connect on the baseball swing. Wilson trying so hard to take that one away from Saxton. Flipped and stopped by Hafner. Rebound goes off the post. 4:22 to go in regulation. Here's Wilson trying to get something on that shot. Smith tracking it down. Pitts down there as well. Pitts couldn't get a lot on the clear.
Got a hand in the air. I think we got another penalty coming up.
There was another penalty, or I think Minnesota was offside. Possibly as a delayed
No, it looks like a
offside.
push. He did a push motion. No, Miller's going to the box.
I think if you're the referees right here, I mean, in all the games today, you've let a lot of physical play kind of happen, but I think as you approach the last few minutes in a lopsided game, you kind of get control of it here and not let anything happen here at the end.
There's definitely some emotion.
Yeah.
So who are you guys looking to talk to after the game? You've had the big three. You talked to Aaron Gordon and D'Amico a couple other games ago. So I'm kind of curious to see who you're going to find to talk to after this one for Philadelphia.
We might have to have a little huddle on that, won't we, Mike? I mean,
maybe Hoban. Hoban doesn't get allowed.
Hoban, or could be good to even talk to the big three again. I mean, getting the monkey off their back and finally beating Minnesota. I'd actually kind of like to hear with Saxton to talk about his battle against Chad Wilson.
Yeah, maybe we can just get Saxton here.
Yeah.
Saxton ahead to Pitts. He shoots, he scores! And the cherry has been put on top of the cake.
Let's take a look at it again. Minnesota giving up a lot of space here. As it's a fancy little backhander from Alex Pitts. Let's watch it again.
Alex, there it is.
Although with that in mind, who puts a cherry on top of a cake?
Surprised Mike didn't call you out on that.
Yeah. Oh, I was going to say, well, definitely Saints are feeling in the pits.
But
oh, there we go. You guys are in rare form tonight.
I like cherries on cakes. It's fine.
Who does that, though?
Apparently Patrick does.
That was a backhanded back to the game. Getting so much power and lift on a backhand. Kind of impressive.
Very impressive. Just been watching Serena Williams.
.3:15 remaining. Philadelphia on their way to facing Michigan in the title game tomorrow night. Boy, and that first meeting, well, no team that's seen Philadelphia has had the game go very well, but certainly Michigan had an absolutely miserable meeting with Philadelphia in pool play. That was a 12-6 defeat that night for the Mustangs.
If the Mustangs show the same commitment to defense they had against Toronto, they could make things interesting against Philadelphia. I mean, they'll still come in as considerable underdogs, but if they can stay committed to defense for 45 minutes, they could have a chance. I think the trick is, Mike, you probably agree here, is staying that defense for 45 minutes. Minnesota stayed committed to defense for about 15 minutes, and then things kind of got away from them. It's being able to do that for a whole game.
Yeah, do that for a whole game. And, you know, again, they're playing for Pat and Pete, and I believe Pat and Pete would be just so emotional right now, and I believe they're still watching this. I know they got to be so proud of their teammates.
I think we do have one Facebook comment who suggests Bryce Smith would be a good option to talk to after this
Maybe
one
we can
as well.
get Smith and Saxton on
Smith
there.
and Saxton.
Actually, I think Smith, yeah, he kind of caused a lot of havoc for Minnesota, having 4 forwards up front.
He did.
That's a good choice.
Well, Philadelphia rolling on to another victory. Really have the closest game was decided by 3 goals against Toronto. I think it was a 7-4 final.
Yeah, and even with that, I think Toronto had 2 goals like in the last minute of the game. And
yeah.
garbage time, for lack of a better term. As we said, Minnesota made a good effort for about the first period, but it's just so hard to keep that defensive intensity for all 45 minutes of a game, and that's going to be Michigan's challenge coming up tomorrow. They were able to do it against Toronto. I mean, they almost shut out the Rock.
Now the question, of course, is this going to be that? Now, of course, this is all said, of course, with the utmost respect, but Toronto relies a little too much on one man. And Philadelphia is a much better team, I think, than Toronto is at finding those secondary options when it comes to Pitts in. Pitts, he'll shoot. Saved by Hafner.
I think if Confar commits to defense like he did this morning, they'll have a great chance.
He's going to have his head on a swivel, though, trying to stop all 3 or possibly 4 of those guys if Philly also plays Bryce Smith at forward.
If D'Amico makes a save and Saxton almost knocked it in, I think we're going to get Saxton called for running through the crease. Academic at this point, 29.3 to go.
So what do you think, Mike? It's going to be Bryce Smith and Jake Saxton, our interviews?
I believe so.
Let's do that, yeah. We can talk with Bryce Smith about how he was able to contribute at forward. Then I want to hear Jake Saxton in his battle with Chad Wilson.
Yeah.
Kind of what he thought of that.
Actually, Miller for roughing. Just happened to be coincidental with Saxton getting a good piece of that crease.
Gordy Foster in goal. This is a very interesting lineup, whatever they're doing.
And Minnesota just
Mike, last 10 seconds, let's pan down to see what Minnesota's doing on defense. This is unique to say the least.
Look at that.
This is park the bus, to say the least, in terms of defense. Parking the bus.
Philadelphia is headed back to the championship game tomorrow night against the Michigan Mustangs as they defeat Minnesota by a score of 8-1. And Minnesota's run of 4 consecutive titles is over. What a job by these Philadelphia power play throughout this tournament, but especially as the competition has gotten tougher, they have just kept on getting better with them, and they roll on 8-1 tonight over Minnesota.
Yeah, great effort by the power play. I think Mike and I are going to run down there and try to grab Bryce Smith and Jake Saxton, so stick around with that. Give us about 5 minutes or so. Make sure you stay with us tomorrow for coverage of all the games.
Things will start off at noon tomorrow as Minnesota will take on Toronto in the bronze medal game. The loser of that game has to play again. They will play Ottawa at 4 p.m. in the 4th place game. And the nightcap, the game we are all going to be looking forward to for the next, about 22 hours. Philadelphia taking on the host Michigan Mustangs for the 2018 Power Hockey Cup. Mike and Brett are going to get downstairs, so we're going to sign off from up here, but don't shut off your stream. Again, the final score, Philadelphia 8, Minnesota 1. Philadelphia in the title game for the 3rd consecutive Power Hockey Cup. Stay tuned for that upcoming interview. You're watching live coverage of Power Hockey Cup 2018 on Facebook.
Mike York here with Bryce Smith. You had a wonderful defensive game here. Tell me about it, man. This was a physical game. These guys are basically, I think, your rivals up to this point. Finally getting that monkey off your back. What do you have to say?
It feels really good. Yeah, they're a very physical team, and I just need to give my guys room. And that's my role, and I just try my best, and I try to get them move out there to make their plays. Those boys are amazing. They're really, really good, and I just wanted to get them room to get them to play their game. And yes, we've lost twice in the cup final, in the last 2 cups, and so this is a big monkey off our back. Big monkey off the back. But we're not done yet. We got business to do. We got another game tomorrow night.
Definitely. Well said. I couldn't say it better myself. Yeah, like you said, your big part was making room for all your scorers. We also saw you get in there and mix it up a little bit offensively. Tell me about that.
Well, I just got a couple good bounces off the stick. That's all. I was just trying to make room. And I'll let my boys do what they do.
All right, thank you. Mike York with Bryce Smith. We'll have Jake Saxton here in a second. And thank you again so much, Bryce Smith. Go celebrate. Mike York with Jake Saxton here. Wow, what a physical game. Very physical. Tell me, what was your battle like with Chad Wilson? You guys looked like, I was down here for a second, and it seems you had some words and a little competitive spirit going on. How was that battling Chad Wilson?
It was fun. He's a great player, great competitor, and, he showed it on the court. It's just he won in one call, I thought the other way. And, at the end of the day, we're good. It's just a game, and we're here to win. So that's what we want to do, both our teams.
Definitely. Tell us about how you guys finally got that monkey off your back after the 2 straight years of playing them in your finals. You guys just looked like you were ready, looked like you were prepared. And how did you guys go about that?
We just, after losing to them twice in the championship game, we really buckled down on what they do to us. We watched film, and, we came out very different. Studied them and played our game. That's all.
Now, are we ready for a new Philly dynasty?
Hopefully, we never won a championship yet. Hopefully, we can do that tomorrow. But maybe we are the next great team here.
All right, well, with their huge monkey at their back, they finally beat the Saints and go on to the championship game for the third straight time. Let's see if they can pull it out. I'm Mike York with Jake Saxon watching.